Hi, my name is Sigrid Turner. I am doing a video analysis for Morehead State University NURB 472. The movie I'm analyzing is John Q. It was a movie released in 2002. It stars Denzel Washington, Robert Duvall, James Woods, and Anne Heck. The movie is a very powerful storyline in regards to ethical dilemmas and parental choices and parents may face um, in choosing between right and wrong. Um, the movie is one that basically the Denzel Washington's son, Mike, it needs a heart transplant. He has insurance which has been changed, and insurance is not covering the medical expenses required. Uh, Denzel Washington is forced to make a choice, and therefore the movie commences. We'll start at the beginning. Where there's scenes of a car crash um, uh, that the involving a young woman, and then it forwards on to just everyday family scenes of Denzel Washington and his wife at home. All of a sudden, his car's been repossessed for non-payment. Um, she is a waitress and he works at a factory. They seem to be a very happy family, even with the trials that they have been facing. He works at a factory that jobs have been going overseas. His hours have been cut down to about 20 hours per week, and he so he's been unable to pay all the bills. He had talked to the bank who owns the insurance, and they have told him that it was okay. But however, he's pretty much behind on all payments, and due to non-payment, they have repossessed his wife's vehicle. They do still have his truck, and so he is driving driving the son to school and her to work, and it just shows an average, everyday loving family. Church going, that's just facing a lot of trials at this time. He's going on interviews. He's trying to find more work. He, enable him to support his family, but he's told he's overqualified. He's told different things. In one of the interviews, it shows that he goes on, there's 400 applicants. And this goes on to show his son. They're at a little league game that's directly after church, and his son passes out on the little league field. He's rushed to the hospital, and at that point, while he's not breathing, their pressure's low, they are escorted out to and without being informed of what is going on with their child, they're escorted out to fill out the paperwork and insurance information. So that's kind of a portrayal of that is what is most important to the hospital and healthcare system, rather than what this family's facing at the moment. Once everything is stable, they're escorted into another room. They're called into a room with a cardiologist and administrator of the hospital, who inform them that he has a congenital heart defect and that it has reached a situation where it requires a heart transplant. That he requires a heart transplant or he will die. As they said, of course they decide, yes, put him on a transplant. and they are told by the hospital um, administrator, well, there's other options, because their insurance does not cover this and is not covering, which he is not understanding because he knows he has insurance. But he is told by her, there's other options. Do nothing, uh, make this a happy time and say good, say your goodbyes. You could lose your son during the transplant, so you may may want to rethink that and may choose to do nothing. Um, uh, they just begin to talk about the expensive, the insurance doesn't cover. Transplant costs $250,000. The hospital is going to require a down payment of at least 30%, $75,000, before they will even put his name on the transplant list. Um, he wasn't informed, but his insurance plan had changed based on the hours that he had worked, rather than, so they had demoted him down to a part-time position without informing him, as well as changing his insurance coverage based on those hours that he had worked. Um, you have to remember, this is an average family whose hours have been cut. They are struggling to pay their bills that they have now. They're behind on just about everything. And this hospital is telling them they have to come up with $75,000 to even put his son's name on the transplant list. And they're basically told that he has days to weeks to months. Which is the time frame that they have been given. They the movie progresses and shows the husband and the wife seeking every available resource that is possible, showing them standing in long lines, being turned down again and again and again. They're seeking assistance, seeking help for him. At one point, they were told that it was too bad that they were not on welfare and that they had jobs, because if they didn't, they could get the help they needed. They start selling things. He starts selling his truck, anything they have of worth, that shows the church taking up money, giving him money, their friends helping, waitresses helping, or co-workers helping her with giving their tips that they earned, and things like that. They even went and talked to a reporter about doing a special interest piece, doing an interview with him, and maybe bringing national attention to this. It never reached that. It never reached to be able to do the point that he was able to do this interview. As I said, it shows the struggles to get money, him counting money. He had paid the hospital. He was told that had an outstanding bill of $30,000. He had paid the hospital $22,000, but I'm sure more charges had incurred up to this point. And then all of a sudden he gets a call that his son is being released to home because the money they had paid was not enough. His wife is extremely upset and, starts yelling at him to do something, do not let them do this. And so he makes the only decision that he can, that he feels he has a choice as a parent that is backed in the corner with no resources and nowhere to turn. He takes the physician hostage, the cardiologist, cardiothoracic surgeon rather, hostage, and in the emergency department of this hospital. There's a few others in there as well. He takes hostage and locks the area down. There is a woman getting ready to give birth. There's a woman with a baby. There's a domestic violence case there. And I can't remember who all else. I think that is probably about it. so he takes them hostage. He starts negotiating with hostage negotiator, with the police, because he has an ambulance pulls to the door with a gunshot victim of all things, and they take them in. He has the basically has them operate there in the ER, has the cardiologist operate on this gunshot victim, saves his life, of course, and uh, then he gets, he's had the help he needs. Um, he had begged, he had promised to pay, just everything he could, and so he asks what he wants, and he tells him he wants his son's name on this donor list. If he gets his son's name on this donor list, that's what he wants. Meanwhile, his son continues to get worse. They call in Rebecca Payne, who is this hospital administrator that is in charge of all of the, the donor. I guess that she's in charge of the transplant and the donor getting the names. She's the person in charge to give the okay for him to get, basically. Just a minute. Then so he's the one in charge to get his name on the donor list. And he basically just says he's sitting there, he's waiting on a miracle and an act of God, because he doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know what's the right thing and the wrong thing to do. And so it cuts to the scene. The movie begins with the scene of the car wreck, and then it cuts to the scene of the car wreck where they are cutting this woman out of the car. The negotiator and the hospital administrator go to talk to the wife about the situation that the husband is in, and then the wife just tells him whatever. She knows why he's done it. She stands behind him. They've basically been pushed into a corner with nowhere to go, and what was he going to do? But she will not turn against him. It cuts to then he asks for his son to be brought to him, and he makes the decision there that he will be the donor. He has the same blood type. His son's heart's enlarged, so he basically tells this physician, if I'm dead and laying here, you would not let that go to waste. I do know that. And so he goes in, the cardiologist agrees, he goes in. It just shows the love between a father and a son. It shows the dilemma that he is in. He has nowhere to go, but he cannot watch his son die. He goes in, has a life talk with his son, tells him to listen to his mother, be kind to others, always keep his word, stay away from the bad things. And then he goes into the room, he lays down people there, he has the gun, he has one bullet that he's putting into the gun. They realize at that point, that the whole time this gun has not been loaded. And, they basically all know that he is not a bad man. He is just a father with no other options, that feels he has no other options. He lets the pregnant lady and the mother with the baby go, and they just praise, at this time when they're let go, they just praise him. So during all of this, prior to him having this talk and realizing he's running out of time, the they set up a talk between the wife and him, and the media is able to televise this across national media. So he gets tons of support from the community, and so in the meantime, what is actually occurring is the police force has taped this to try to make it look good on themselves. They have gotten the hostage situation under control, and it has turned back on them because it is televised them actually shooting him, and because in the process this being televised, he is on the phone with his son, talking to his wife, and it's just such an emotional conversation that occurs. So the support is in favor of John Q, and the crisis at Hope Memorial is what it's been tagged by the media. So this is how he gets to this point, that he is in a room. He is holding this gun to his head, getting ready to shoot himself and kill himself in order to save his child, so that he will have his heart. All of a sudden, it's seen flashes to a fax, them receiving a fax, that they're getting a fax this of a donor transplant availability, which is the woman's heart from the very beginning that was in the wreck. Basically, this is a movie that is showing the trials of the average American, especially in this last few years. I think everybody has dealt with the uninsured, the losing the insurance, the health issues, the illness issues, not being able to get the care that is needed because insurance doesn't cover, insurance denies, and he is basically touted as a hero throughout this movie for trying to do what he had to do, felt he had to do to be able to get the help he needed for his child. And this is just the showing moral and ethical dilemmas you see during the movie. You also see a transition between the hospital administrator who she talks as at the beginning of the movie, she's very indifferent to the needs of John Q, the child, or anybody. She's just very cold, and you see a transition throughout this movie of her as having more of an awakening per se into a heartfelt, that she cries, she understands, she has empathy, she can sympathize with the patients of this, and she does end up adding him onto the donor list at a point when it is required, or when it is asked of her. And that's basically the movie. It is just your average American, heartfelt, facing ethical decisions, and every main character from James Woods, who is the police officer, to the lieutenant of the police, to Anne Heck, the physician. All main characters are forced to make ethical decisions and not judge, and the morality between what is actually right and wrong versus what they are told is right and wrong. It's just a very powerful movie. I encourage anybody to watch this and think about what you would do in the same situation.